Have you ever noticed how the moment someone finally starts getting close to you, something inside you begins pulling away? Not because you stopped caring, because suddenly every text feels too slow, every pause feels suspicious, every silence becomes a story your mind writes without your permission. You tell yourself you just need reassurance, but then, when they finally give it to you, it somehow still isn't enough. And maybe the strangest part isn't that you're afraid they'll leave. Maybe it's that sometimes you start leaving first. Why would someone sabotage the very love they've been desperate to find? Maybe you've stared at your phone for 15 minutes, typing, deleting, typing again, because one wrong message could change everything. Maybe you've replayed a conversation dozens of times, wondering if your smile looked fake, if your joke sounded annoying, if they secretly regretted spending time with you. Sometimes they don't answer for an hour, and your chest reacts before your mind does. You tell yourself you're overreacting, but your body doesn't believe you. It's strange. You crave closeness more than almost anything, yet the closer someone gets, the louder your fears become. You need constant proof that you're loved, while quietly believing no proof will ever be enough. You apologize for things that never needed apologies. You say, "It's okay," when it isn't. You say, "I'm fine," while secretly hoping someone notices you're not. You imagine being abandoned long before anyone has even walked away. And because you expect rejection, you begin preparing for it. You test people. You withdraw. You become distant. Not because you stopped loving them, but because you're terrified they might stop loving you first. You don't even realize you're doing it. It feels like survival, not sabotage. And the hardest part? Everyone around you sees someone who's too emotional. Only you know how exhausting it is to carry a storm nobody else can hear. Hello, I am Bub, and welcome to Hidden Signals, where I decode what you feel but can't explain. This channel is for the emotions people hide, the behaviors nobody talks about, and the psychological patterns silently controlling our lives. If you've ever felt something deeply but never had the words for it, you're probably in the right place. And if these videos genuinely make you feel understood, subscribe and stay for the next signal. Now, here's the strange part. What if none of this started with your relationships? For years, you probably believed the same story. I'm too needy. I'm too sensitive. I ruin every relationship. I always ask for too much. So every failed connection became evidence. You promised yourself you'd stop caring so much, stop double texting, stop checking when they were last online, stop imagining the worst. And maybe for a few days you managed, until someone mattered again. Then suddenly, every old fear came back as if it had never left, which makes you wonder if you've really changed at all. But what if you've been blaming the wrong person? What if the problem isn't that you love too much, but that somewhere deep inside, you learned love could disappear without warning? And once your mind believes that, it starts preparing for loss, even in moments of safety. What if I told you your need for reassurance isn't the real problem? Maybe reassurance isn't what you're actually searching for. Maybe you're searching for certainty, and certainty doesn't exist inside relationships. So your mind keeps asking for more. One more text, one more promise, one more sign. Not because you're greedy, because fear has convinced you that enough is never enough. The version of you that overthinks every message, that panics over tiny changes in tone, that imagines abandonment from ordinary silence, isn't trying to destroy your relationships. It's trying to prevent heartbreak before it happens. It just doesn't realize that in trying to prevent loss, it slowly creates it. That's the tragedy. The shield begins to look like the wound. Your brain has one job: keep you alive. It doesn't care whether you're happy, only whether you're safe. So if closeness once became connected with unpredictability, your nervous system quietly remembered. The next time someone became important, your brain didn't say, "This person loves you." It asked, "How long until they leave?" Your amygdala, the part of your brain that detects danger, doesn't always know the difference between physical threats and emotional ones. A canceled plan, a different tone of voice. To someone else, those are small moments. To your nervous system, they can feel like alarms. Your body releases stress hormones like cortisol. Your thoughts speed up. Your heart races. Your imagination fills in the blanks before reality gets a chance. It's like having a smoke detector so sensitive it goes off every time someone lights a candle. Your brain wasn't malfunctioning, it was trying to protect you. But protection can become a prison when the danger no longer matches the alarm. Here's the part most people never realize. Anxious attachment doesn't only fear being abandoned, it fears finally relaxing. Because if you stop watching for danger, what if that's exactly when it happens? So peace starts feeling unfamiliar, even suspicious. Sometimes you create conflict just to know where you stand. Sometimes you chase someone who gives mixed signals because uncertainty feels strangely familiar. And when someone loves you consistently, you don't always feel safe. Sometimes you feel exposed because now there's something real to lose. The walls you built kept heartbreak outside, but they also kept trust outside, intimacy outside, rest outside. You weren't protecting your heart, you were accidentally locking it in the same room as your fear. Healing rarely begins with trusting other people. It begins with noticing what your body does before your mind creates a story. The next time someone replies late, pause. Not to silence your feelings, to become curious about them. Ask yourself, what am I certain happened? And what am I only imagining? Those two answers are almost never the same. You don't have to stop feeling anxious overnight. You only have to stop believing every anxious thought is the truth. Little by little, your nervous system starts learning something it never fully believed before. Not everyone leaves. Not every silence is rejection. Not every delay is goodbye. Safety isn't found by controlling other people. It's built by slowly teaching yourself that uncertainty doesn't always end in pain. Maybe you've spent years calling yourself too much, too emotional, too needy, too difficult to love. But maybe you were never asking for too much. You were asking for something you never felt certain you could keep. And those are very different things. You weren't destroying love. You were trying to survive the possibility of losing it. The part of you you hated most was never your enemy. It was your frightened protector, and protectors can learn to rest. But anxious attachment hides another secret, one even quieter than the fear of abandonment. Why do some people feel guilty the moment someone genuinely loves them, as if being loved is something they have to earn? Once you notice that pattern, you'll start seeing it everywhere. If this video helped you put words to feelings you've carried for years, subscribe to Hidden Signals and stay for the next signal.